Today I'm going to be going over some static blocks and some widgets. So if we come to the dashboard here and we go to CMS, we went over pages last time, you'll see that there's these other things called static blocks or widgets. Just take a look. If you might have noticed in the last tutorial when I went down here at my footer in these links here, you saw this word test. Well, this isn't going to be on your install because I had done this some other time. Where that is actually into the CMS static blocks and then footer links. So if we go to footer links here, you can see it's a list of all your footer links. And if you remember when we changed the URL of About Us, we changed it to just About -us. That link didn't actually change in the footer. So if you're changing a URL key of a page like that, you're going to have to come in here where it's linking, and we're going to have to change that. I'm just going to click on Show Hide Editor so you can see the source. If you notice here, I changed the URL to be About Us. So now it's going to be linking correctly. We'll notice if we click this, it's taking us to the right site, the right URL key here. But if you change that and your footer link is now not working, that's why. You have to come into the static block and change it. Let's take a look at what other static blocks there are. Built into the sample data, you'll have this electronics landing and cell phones landing. Let's go to the electronics page. I've replaced this with test. Let's go to the, I think the cell phone. Yeah, no, that's not right. Yeah, cell phone's landing. Let's check this one out. So this is just really this image. If we show this, it's a Sony Ericsson image. So if we click back here, you'll see that this right here, this in particular is the cell phone landing static block. So a static block is really just a chunk of code that's not going to change, that you can say show up. If you're used to using something like Drupal that features blocks of code as well, you know, you're also might be familiar with that. This is very similar. So a static block is just a block of code, but by default, you know, if you create a static block, it's not going to show up anywhere, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a static block, and then using widgets, we're going to tell it where to show up. Okay, so let's create a static block. I'm going to add a new block. It's up here in the top right, and I'm going to just call this test block, and you know, the identifier, we'll just keep this as test, and then we want this available for all store views, and it's going to be enabled. And all I really want is just some code to make sure this works, so test, whatever. You can use the WYSIWYG editor here to have this looking like how you want, adding images, or whatever. So let's click Save Block. Okay, so now our block's here, but it's not going to show up anywhere. We could go all over the site and you'll never see it. So what we need to do now is create a widget. Let's go to Widgets here, it's under CMS, and we're going to click Add New Widget Instance. And this is going to be the type. So if you notice here, there's CMS page link, so this can be a link to anything. CMS static block, which of course is what we just made and what we're going to want, but you can also have category list, new product list, any of these options that are built in here, orders and returns, whatever. But we want to show our static block. So what a widget is it's really just a chunk of code, and you're saying where to display it on the website through this widgets instance. So the design package theme, this is important. You want to make sure this is the theme that you're using for your site. If you select the wrong one, it will not show up. We're using default, so I'm going to pick that, and we're going to click continue. Okay, and the instance title, and this is just be test because it's just a test right now. The sort order is how, you know, high up it's going to display if the the sort order of other widget instances in the same block. So if you have a bunch of widgets in the same block, the sort order is going to matter in which order they're showing up. So now down here we need to add a layout update. This is actually where you're telling the static block to show up. So we're going to click Add Layout Update, and we're going to display this on, let's go to Specified Page. If you notice, you can see all product types, anchor categories, any of this stuff, but we're going to do Specified Page, and we want this to show up on, so look at all these options you have here. You can, you know, do all sorts of stuff, but we want this to show up on all CMS pages. So any page that's created like a CMS, like the home page or the customer service page, any of those. The block reference is going to be the actual position. Let's put this in the left column. If you notice here, there's main content, navigation bar, page footer, any of that stuff. But we just want this in the left column, and then under widget options here on the left, is where you actually select which block. Because up until now we haven't told it which block we want to use. So let's click select block, and if you notice we could even put these footer links anywhere, but let's click test block because that's the one we want. And let's save this. Oh, it looks like I didn't click all store views. Okay, so let's save this. And okay, so the widget instance has been saved. Although you may be getting this warning up here, it says one or more cache types are invalidated. So basically your cache site is now different than what the content that you're showing is. So we want to clear this cache so that we see what we expect to see. You can just click on this cache management. It's going to take you to this page right here. And we're going to click Flush Magento Cache. Actually, let me refresh this so it can be more like what you're seeing. And you'll see it says invalidated block HTML because we changed a block, general cache layout. So let's flush these, just this red button here. Okay, so Magento Cache, everything should say enabled. And let's go to the customer service page, okay? We go here, and you look down here in the left column, it says test, 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 test. Okay, so this is our static block right here. If you were to put any sort of HTML or any image or whatever, it would show up here as well. Notice how you have great control over that. You can put that wherever you want. We could put it in the main, you could put it anywhere. That's great. But let's go to our home page because it's supposed to be in the left column there too. Okay, you might notice that it's not here. This is actually because this page is using a custom XML layout. If we were to go to, let's go here under CMS Pages, and we go to the home page, and you click Design, you'll notice that it's using a 2-column with a right bar, which is not really what we see. This bit of chunk of code here is actually adding this custom left bar. If you were to go through and delete this stuff, you'd see all sorts of changes. But let's go to 3 columns, and let's get rid of this. Actually, let me copy this. Okay, now let's save this page. And now let's refresh our home page, and we should be seeing something a little different. Sure enough, there's our test code. Of course, this is all sort of messed up because it was using some sort of like special code before, and now it's not. So you're going to want to be adjusting your content and your CSS to sort of figure out what's going on here. But this is why this wouldn't have shown up. If your pages are using a custom layout type, it may not show up because the custom layout type was not including a left column. Okay, so that is how you create a static block and how you get it to show using a widget.